Okay, so welcome back. And before we move to the methodology section, what I would like to do is to discuss a little bit with you with the different types of sources. As I explained in the previous video, it's really important that you make a difference between your academic sources and the topical sources. I mean the journalist sources or the market studies or these kind of elements that may help you to understand the topic, but to distinguish this from academic sources, which are very, very important in your master thesis. So actually what we'll be discussing in this video is the difference between the two and also where to find the information for academic sources. And once you have your articles, once you've understood what it is, where to find it, then we'll spend a little bit of time on the tools on how to organize these sources. Okay, so let's jump in. So understanding the different types of sources. So as I explained, it's really important to distinguish between two big types of sources that are really different. First one is the sources that have a topical focus, so sources that will help you to understand your object of research. So this can be the press, the media. So we took an example earlier with the article from Juliet Shore. This would be for me topical, an example of a topical article, So surveys, studies, general books, essays, they will help you to get a sense of what you're talking about in terms of the object of research. So it's really related to the first question we tackled, which is what is the phenomenon you're interested in, okay? Then there is a second type of source, which will help you to understand, to answer the second question, why is it interesting for management, professionals, researchers, and what type of lens do you use to investigate this topic, okay? So this is academic sources and they are theory driven. And actually there are a bunch of places where you can find them, and this video is here to explain you where you could find them. But mostly in database, either public, such as for example Google Scholar, or also databases that are internal to ESCP, or others that we have a registration, such as Ebsco, which I'm going to show you in a minute, okay? So database for academic research, so you may use the intranet, so you may go to the intranet of the school, to the library, and then find it, so I will show you how. And you may also use external databases such as Google Scholar or researchgate. So I think the best here is to take an example to show you that. And my proposition is that we continue to use the example that we took the example that we took earlier. So we've been discussing this article on Uber and Lyft, gig economy, sharing economy, and debates related to how to regulate that field. And let's imagine that this is the topic you want to work on, and so you're looking for sources related to that. So how do you do that? I think maybe the first reaction would be to Google, but actually there is a section within Google which is called Google Scholar. So let's look for it. And Google Scholar, as you see, provides a simple way to broadly search for scholarly literature. Search across a wide variety of disciplines and sources, articles, thesis, books, etc., etc. That's really a good start because actually Google makes the sorting of what's academic and non-academic and will only retrieve the academic sources. So that's really, really a good starting point for you. So let's go to Google Scholar now. And here, actually, it works basically as Google. That means that you do a Google research and it will provide you with some first results. So let's say that we are interested in sharing economy business model and see what happens. So, okay, here you have a list of articles that appear. You can sort them by date and make different adaptation to your research, but I'll put that aside for the moment. Let's just look at what's happening. So first is an article called An Academic Framework for Profitable Business Model in the Sharing Economy. And here in Industrial Marketing Management, Elsevier, which is the editor, and here the first words of the abstract, right? Then you have another one, and yeah, here what's important is that you also see how many times it's being cited by other works, you know. So here, this article has been cited 129 times. Sharing Economy Comprehensive Business Model Framework, it has been cited by 60 people. And well, actually, let's imagine that you're working on sharing economy business models. I mean, we can all agree that like the first ones, I think the 4 first ones are really good starting points, right? So how do you get to them? So here, if I click on this one and on this one, it will bring me to Journal of Cleaner Production, which is the journal, the academic journal that published this paper. And so here you have a presentation of the highlights. So literature on sharing economy business model is abundant, though fragmented. Research reviews the literature on sharing economy business model in terms of value proposition, value creation, value capture. And this gives a comprehensive framework of sharing economy business models. It presents 4 market segments. Okay, so if you're working on the sharing economy, it's really interesting for you, right? And so basically here you have the graphics that I seem to use. So singular transaction models, commission-based platforms. It's interesting because you see cinemas, supermarkets, etc. They consider that somehow as sharing economy. Subscription-based models, unlimited platforms. And each time there is different types of value capture and value appropriation. So that seems to be interesting. How do you get to the full article? That can be a problem because actually these academic articles are managed by private companies, which make actually a lot of money in terms of business model. That's really interesting and questionable. But Science Direct and Elsevier, you know, are the editors. And to get access, you have to you have to pay for it. So actually the school has access to most of the journals that you may be looking for. And I'll show you in a minute how to do it. So you may retrieve them, because here if I click on get access, you know, they say choose an option to locate, access the article, and you have to pay $22 or $22, yeah, to get access to it. So basically that's an issue. So how do you do that? We'll see the solution through the intranet in a minute, but then also if you return to Google Scholar, then maybe here you see a link also, PDF with ResearchGate. And basically what ResearchGate is, it's a platform. Let me show you because here it didn't open, but ResearchGate is a platform for academics to share their published work. So you may create your profile there, and then you can log to the platform, and what you get is like you can search for publishers, so for publishers or for authors, sorry. So here we see it's Ritter and Chance. So let's look for Ritter and Chance and see what. Okay, so that's single names. So that's the reason why it doesn't work. So Ritter and Martin, and he's working in Freiburg. So Martin Ritter, Freiburg. Okay, it's him. So he's a PhD student apparently, and he has 4 publications. And here is most cited last month, Sharing Economy, a Comprehensive Business Model Framework. And here you see that you can download it. So yeah, now if we open it, we have the full text, which is really great, you know, because actually here, so it's not edited as in the journal, but it's exactly the same content. So here you see it's starting with the introduction on the sharing economy and citing excellent work, by the way. And here you see like how this academic work is being organized, right? So you have an introduction explaining the broad setting of the debate. Then you have a research design, and basically I think they are explaining just how they made this literature review. And then they are digging into the results, which is actually the literature review, right? And so distinguishing between different value propositions on the sharing economy, value creation and deliveries, and building a framework, you know, to differentiate between these different business models. So then providing this conceptual framework, last part is a discussion. And then what's really important for you is, conclusion. What's really important for you is this, you know, the list of references. Because actually once you've been reading the article, you may find some interesting stuff there, but then you read the references and some of them really echo your work. And so this is gold, you know, to have the full structure of reference. And so here, for example, you have one article on the promises and paradoxes of the sharing economy. The next one is creating value through business model innovation. So that's more a little on business models. So depending on what you're interested in, you may find the right articles in the references and then go through them. And basically that's how you work to do a literature review, you know, and to start your literature review. Okay, so here it's a way to access this article, right? If you cannot access it that way, what you can do is to use the internal databases of ESCP, right? So let's log to ESCP Europe. You go to the internet, and here is my internet. You know, I was already logged, so I didn't ask for name, etc. And here it's my faculty space, but it should be organized roughly the same in your place. So if I click on libraries, here, you have different stuff on the library section. One that could be interesting for you, I just discovered that a minute ago, is like there are some French channel to help you with methodology of research. So it may be a very good tool for you on how to write a literature review, etc. So have a look at that. It can be an interesting sources. But what I wanted to share with you is how do you find academic sources within the internet, which can be a challenge, I agree. So here you go to databases here, okay? So databases, I click on it, and then it will open a specific page where you have the whole list of databases for which the school has a registration and is paying fees yearly to get you some access. So here you have databases from A to Z, and actually one that is really complete on English academic resources is Business Source Complete. So I will use this one, but just be aware that there are other ones. So I'm just mentioning them, and I will be only using Business Source Complete, okay? So the other ones, Kern is a French database. It's for French journals. So it's very useful as well. It works the same way, and you get all access to articles published in French journals. Dalloz, it's for law. Emerald Insight can be as well a source, but it's one editor among different editors, so it's not as complete as the one I mentioned, Business Source Complete. Europress, Euromonitor, Financial Times, these are different types of sources. It's more journalistic sources, right? It's economic press, not academic sources. GStore is academic sources as well. It's a little bit the same as the database that I'm going to show you, but it's more on social sciences. So if you're working with philosophy, sociology, anthropology, and heterodox economics, this is the one, or this is one, and some in management as well. This is one that is very important. And yeah, you also have Publication Finder, which can be helpful if you're lost with a whole bunch of academic databases and want to know where to find. You can use this one. It's kind of a platform to orient you in the different databases for which we have a registration. And well, Science Direct and Springer Link can also be editors of articles that you are looking for. And that's it. I'm not going to cover them all, but what I want to show you is how Business Source Complete works. So let's open it. And here you see that actually you have different databases for that are hosted by Business Source Premier. So here you have plenty of them. Well, actually the first one is the most important for you, I presume, except if you're doing some work on psychology or behavioral sciences, and then you can select that one. But here, this one is the world's definitive scholarly business database, providing the leading collection of bibliographic and full-text contents. So that's really the one you want to see. So you click on continue, and here you have like a search list that appears, right? So here my recommendation is to go to advanced search because it's much more clear, because here you can select field, like for example, you're looking for a title, for example, or an author. So let's say, for example, you're interested, you're looking for an author whose name is Van de Ven. He's like a very famous author working on design, engineering design, and also how academics can engage with practitioners. So let's try. We'll see what happens. So here, yeah, it's Andy Van de Ven, learning to become an inclusive teacher. So here you see that there are actually 267 articles retrieved. So I guess there are several Van de Ven work academics here. It may not be only Andrew Van de Ven. Here we see that there are other people. Okay, so here it's Andrew Van de Ven. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. So let's refine the search with his complete name as registered on the database. Just simply copy pasted it. Okay. Okay, so here you see the complete list for this author. Of course, I could have done a different research with author plus journal, for example, author plus title, or several authors at the same time to just find the co-authored pieces. So here, let's say, okay, so this one is quite old, but it's also heavily cited. Oops, sorry, clicked too early. So let me come back. So here you see, for example, he wrote an article that is called Explaining Development and Change in Organizations. So he's been writing a lot on organizational change. So Van de Ven and Poole, Academy of Management Review, July 1995. So it's an old one, but it's heavily cited. And so let's have a look. So I'm opening the PDF here, but actually I managed to open this article. So here you see the PDF, and actually I can download it if I want here, you know, so it will download it as a PDF. And so it's explaining development and change in organization. It's in like research article. And what you see here is like it develops 4 ideal types of developmental theories. Well, you see it's a pretty much old document, you know, it was published in 1995, thus the scanning is not very good, right? But still, the paper, like actually it's confronting between 4 different types of change in organization, 4 types of ways to theorize it. Theorize it as a life cycle approach, theorize it as an evolutionary approach, theorize it as a dialectic, like meaning power games leading to change, or teleology, meaning that you have like an upper force of the manager transforming the organization. Life cycle would be like historical shapes the story of the organization. And so he develops all these ways of theorizing change and its implication. Of course, we could have looked at different here it's about technology development, running impacts to develop knowledge-intensive technologies, and about the role of cooperation in that. Well, every time you have like the PDF full text, right? And here also, let's take, for example, this one. So knowledge for theory and practice. And so it's about practitioner and academic engagement. And actually, you see that it's being cited 200 times in the database. And if you click here, you can also find the articles citing it, you know, sorted by the most recent ones. So, well, here is the way, you know, you start to use the database. Obviously, there is some work to do for you here. So scroll the databases to understand how it works, how you search on them. As I said, my advice would be when you log to the Ebsco database, go immediately to the detailed search. It's much more, actually, it may seem more complex, but it's much more user-friendly in the end.